Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Battle Through the Heavens 2. Rebirth of Emperor Yang Part 12 based on novel. So let's start. Xiao Yan smiled, and his face was piled up in a pile. With the eye-catching scar, everyone under the stage twitched at the corners of his mouth, but he couldn't care so much about the treasure, so he had to bear the nausea in his heart. Xiao Yan grinned at the crowd and turned his palm. A jade bottle appeared in Xiao Yan's huge palm. Xiao Yan's palm showed a sharp contrast with the jade bottle. Everyone under the stage also frowned slightly. Obviously, if it was an ordinary pill, they would not be interested in it. Xiao Yan gave a sneer, opened the jade bottle and poured out one of the round pills the size of Longan. As soon as the pills came out, a strong and extremely fragrant pill filled the whole auction house. Everyone's face changed in unison for a moment. The eyes looking at the fragrant pill were also replaced by greed and strong possessiveness. Mo Bei, who sat in the front row, stood up and looked at the pill in Xiao Yan's hand with a red face because of excitement. He couldn't wait to shout to Xiao Yan. "President Xiao Yan, I don't know how to auction this pill." Xiao Yan smiled, glanced across the crowd with hot eyes in the field, and finally nodded slightly to the senior box where Xiao Yan was located, which made Mo Bei's eyes, who had been watching Xiao Yan, coagulate slightly. With Xiao Yan's eyes, his eyebrows wrinkled slightly. Isn't it the box of Liu Huobai and other Liu family people? Is Xiao Yan's predecessor right there? This makes Mo Bei's calm face change slightly. If so, how can the Liu family be in that box, or is it that all this is just the ghost of Liu Huobai, who wants to deceive himself deliberately and deceive himself, but how can Xiao Yan help him without reason? Mo Bei was still thinking about the problem with a deep frown. Xiao Yan on the stage laughed. There was a roar of laughter echoing in the auction house. His sharp eyes swept the whole audience. Xiao Yan finally said in a loud voice, "Okay. Now that you have spoken, I won't say more. Let me introduce you to this pill first. First of all, this pill is 8 pills." As soon as he said this, the whole auction house was in a dead silence. Even the audience was full of melancholy. Mo Bei, who was thinking about the problem, suddenly raised his head and looked at Xiao Yan on the stage with a strong color of shock. 8 pills. Everyone in the audience looked at Xiao Yan with scarlet eyes. There were bursts of swallowing in the auction house. Xiao Yan sneered. His eyes were like looking at a group of fools. After a long time, he said again. "This pill, named Qinglingdan, ranks among the 8th grade. It can make friars practice all the time within a year. Even if they don't practice deliberately, today, the skill will work automatically to help friars increase their strength. Moreover, if they work together with the skill, the speed will be faster than usual." Wow! As soon as he said this, the auction house became noisy. Some people even stood up and wanted to rob like those in front. However, they were held by death. The price of those who moved their hands before was not good. They were saved by the fear in their hearts at this critical moment. Looking at the Xiao Yan on the stage, the several people who stood up bitterly sat back to their positions, and their eyes were full of irrecoverable greed. Xiao Yan uttered a sneer and looked sarcastically at the people sitting back. It was only because of the flesh on his face. This smile made people look terrible. It also made the people's bodies tremble unconsciously, and a trace of cold sweat dripped from their foreheads. Xiao Yan's huge palm patted the auction platform in front of him, and a loud noise made the whole audience gather their eyes, nodded with satisfaction, and Xiao Yan said in a loud voice. 8 pill, Qinglingdan, reserve price, 200 ling coin. As soon as he said this, there was another uproar in the audience, but he saw that Mo Bei stood up without hesitation and shouted to Xiao Yan. "I'll give you 500 ling coins." The children of several other forces sitting next to him did not lose the slightest and shouted one after another. 800 ling coins. 900 ling coins. I'll give you 1200 ling coins. Who robbed me? I'll chop him now. As soon as he said this, Xiao Yan on the stage gave a cold hum, glared at the man and said, "Hum. Well, you've gone too far. The man was suddenly surprised when he heard the speech. His face changed slightly, and after an apology, he sat back angrily. The shooting continues. 1,700 Ling coins. 2,000 Ling coins. 2,100 Ling coin. 2,500 Ling coin. 3,000 spirit coins. Mo Bei looked at Xiao Man with red eyes and shouted violently. With his 3,000 words, the whole auction house became silent. Everyone looked at each other and shook his head. It seems that this 8th-grade Qinglingden, Mo Bei, is already bound to be in the bag. Xiao Man also picked up the wooden hammer with a terrible smile and wanted to knock it down. At this moment, the voice of a powerful middle-aged man suddenly rang through the audience. I'll give 5,000 spirit coins. The next moment, in the whole auction house, people's eyes instantly looked at the high-level box, because the voice came from it. Even Xiao Man looked at the high-level box with a dull face, and Mo Bei's red eyes gradually returned to Qingming at the moment, looking at the high-level box with a strange face. Mo Bei blinked a few times and frowned slightly. Could it be that the strong man didn't know Liu Huabai and Liu Huabai wanted to climb up to him, so he was bleeding? After a little hesitation, Mo Bei still didn't follow up. It's not difficult to pay a high price, but the key is that he doesn't have so much ability. His ability comes from his father, who is the city master. He can't represent his father. Finally, Liu Huabai won the 8-pill Qinglingden with 5,000 spirit coins. Although it was painful, if he could make good use of the 8-pill, Liu Huabai was confident that he would break through the level of fighting respect within 2 years. Thinking of Dozuan's strength, Liu Huabai also made up his mind. After all, as long as his strength is up, what will be lacking? The world is talking with fists. When his fists are big, he can't get anything. Besides, these things are auctioned by anti-inflammatory. Finally, those spiritual coins haven't reached his own hands, so it's good to use them to cling to Elder Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan narrowed his sleeping eyelids slightly, looked at Liu Huabai with a firm face, closed them again and fell asleep quietly. Xiao Man glanced at the dark head in the auction house. As soon as his palm patted the selling platform, a loud sound rang through the auction house. Everyone's eyes were attracted by this palm again. With a satisfied grin and a strong voice, the bear once again exports. He directly raises his palm and probes forward. A roll of silver scroll appears in his hand. Then, he listens to his loud voice and says, "The second auction item, Earth-level advanced skill, Thunder Dragon Roaring Formula." Then, Xiao Man waved his other hand forward again, and a silver scroll appeared in his other hand. When he waved his arm, the scroll opened. Boom! In an instant, a thunder dragon took off from the scroll and hit the sky directly, causing bursts of thunder. When the thunder dragon took off, it trembled in the void and shot out of thin air. When the audience saw this scene, they all flew back and scattered. However, Mo Beijian wanted to get out of the stage, but Xiao Man threw the scroll into the air with one hand of the scroll and hit it with one hand. An energy palm condensed by fighting spirit appeared out of thin air and flew towards Mo Bei. Seeing this, Mo Bei suddenly changed his face. His body flying to the crystal stone platform made a sharp turn in the air and burst out with a foot on the edge of the crystal platform. The huge energy palm also gradually disappeared in the void and finally disappeared. The energy palm disappeared, but Xiao Man's angry voice rolled in. "Great child, is it difficult? You want to break the rules of my auction house and rob me at my auction? I want to tell you, this is not your North Mo city." Mo Bei was surprised when he heard the speech. He knew that Xiao Man was really angry. His retreating body stopped quickly, bowed to the bears and said, "I naturally know the rules of the auction house. I only saw that the skill has such power at the bottom. I couldn't resist my curiosity for the moment. Therefore, I wanted to go on stage to find out. I was careless and almost made a big mistake. I hope President Xiao Man can forgive me." Xiao Man glared at Mo Bei. Just when he wanted to speak, he suddenly heard a bitter cold hum. As soon as the cold hum came out, the whole auction house was silent. Everyone was afraid to give one, and his whole body trembled. It was like being in the cold ice for thousands of years, which made people feel extremely cold. When Xiao Yan heard this cold hum, his body stagnated for a moment. After an instant, Xiao Yan quickly bowed to the high-level box where Xiao Yan was located and said, "I'd like to ask you to forgive me for your dereliction of duty. If you're not satisfied, I'll kill the guy who has defiled your sacred object." When he said that, he was about to start with Morbei, but the owner of the voice said again, "Well, if I let you go this time, I'll give you young people a chance. If I do it again, I don't need him to do it. I'll do it myself." As soon as they said this, everyone at the scene immediately felt that the temperature in the auction house became cold at this moment. Xiao Yan and Mo Bei also nodded in a hurry and dared not neglect it at all. Mo Bei-shan, judging from the prestige that came from the voice just now, I'm afraid that this person's strength is at least 5-star Dozuan. Dozuan is a strong man. He doesn't have Baymore City, but he can't provoke people with this strength by virtue of his strength in Baymore City. After a little consideration, he understands the consequences in his heart and should be soft. After the small episode, the auction will continue, of course, but no one dares to talk nonsense in the auction house. They don't use force to suppress people. They all auction according to rules, which makes the atmosphere in the auction house seem strange. In the high-level box of the auction house, Liu Huabai looked at Xiao Yan, who was sleeping with his eyes closed. With an indelible color of gratitude in his eyes, he smiled and whispered to Xiao Yan. "Senior Xiao Yan, thank you very much." "Yes." Liu Huabai's eyes were slightly frozen, but he smiled again. Without talking, he quietly looked at the auction in the field. After what happened just now, people have been very interested in the auction. Although the elder spoke a little hard, the things auctioned are all good things, so they can see it. Abide by the rules and be successful. The elder just asked them to follow his rules. As long as they bid well and don't act, the elder won't pay too much attention to the auction. After the episode, Xiao Yan went on the auction, and a vigorous and hearty laugh resounded through the auction house. Xiao Yan had a pile of flesh on his face and laughed and said, "Okay. That was just a small episode. You can understand it. Don't worry about it. Next, I'll introduce this skill to you." While he was talking, he took the scroll that had not been opened in his hand, held it high and showed it in front of the people. Then he opened his mouth and said, "Earth-level advanced skill, Thunder Dragon Roaring Heaven Dew. Thunder attribute skill. After practicing this skill, you can turn Qianlei into a companion and turn Qianlei into a thunder dragon to collect it in your body. This thunder dragon can summon Friar Qianlei to practice the skill and improve your strength. It can also summon Qianlei to help Friar attack the enemy when Friar fight. It has great power and can be used as a big card for Friars." After that, Xiao Yan took this hand back, the other hand, held the open scroll, and then said, "This is a volume of fighting skill, which is complementary to the Thunder Dragon Xiaoqian formula. It is also an advanced fighting skill of the Earth level. It is called Thunder Dragon Breaking the Sky style." As soon as he said this, everyone in the audience was in an uproar again. Only one volume of Kung Fu was so powerful. With a fighting skill, how powerful it should be. Ignoring the shocked expression on everyone's faces, Xiao Yan said again, "Thunder Dragon Breaks the Sky is divided into 5 types. The first move, Thunder in the World. Use the power of the Sky Thunder cultivated by the Thunder Dragon Roaring the Sky formula to drive the heaven and earth, trigger the Sky Thunder, and send out the strongest blow with the power of the Sky Thunder. Its power shakes the sky. The second move, Thunder Punishes Heaven. On the basis of the first move, attract Heaven Thunder to attack the enemy with the power of Heaven Thunder. It is powerful. The third move, Thunder Snakes All Over the Sky. Turn your fighting chi into thousands of thunder lights, gather the energy of heaven and earth into the thunder lights, and finally turn into tens of thousands of thunder snakes, which fill the sky. Friars can detonate all these thunder snakes in an instant. They are powerful and have a wide attack range, which can make the enemy unable to avoid. The fourth move, the dragon fights the sky. Integrate all the fighting chi in your body into the power of sky thunder to evolve a violent thunder jiao, which can deliver a fatal blow to the enemy. It is powerful enough to destroy mountains and rivers. The fifth move, the Thunder Dragon breaks the sky. It is the same as the fourth move, but it requires the friar to practice the Thunder Dragon roaring the sky formula to a great extent, convert the power of the thunder in the friar's body into the final Dian Purple Thunder, integrate it with the Thunder Dragon refined by the friar, and use the Thunder Dragon's body to give the strongest blow. The Thunder Dragon breaks the sky. Use the power to break the sky, break everything, shake the sky and capture the earth. As soon as these words were finished, there was a sound of swallowing. Even those who did not practice the thunder attribute skill looked at Xiao Yan with a hot face. Their eyes were full of lingering greed and desire. Some people are even cruel to their own attributes, but they are not thunder attributes. Why do they miss such good kung fu fighting skills? It's just luck. Xiao Yan looked at the crowd below. He slapped the selling table with his palm. Several times in a row, the solid auction table became fragmented. After the earthquake, everyone looked at Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan stepped forward, glanced across the audience and said, Lei Long Xiao Qian Ju, 1 skill and 1 fighting skill. The reserve price is 1,000 spirit coins. Each price increase must not be less than 100 spirit coins. Now, the bidding begins. As soon as he said this, the people who were just very excited and wanted to bid for the price suddenly turned dull, and then they sat in their own position with a decadent face. Only those people in the front row, after a little hesitation, looked at the 2 scrolls in Xiao Yan's hand and began to bid. 1,500 ling coin. 3,000 spirit coins. I'll give you 4,000 spirit coins. You are all reluctant to bid for such a good thing, master. I'm willing to offer 10,000 spirit coins to take this skill. I think you don't have a better price. Mo Bei's eyes narrowed slightly, turned to smile, looked at several powerful people in the front row, and slowly opened his mouth. Seeing this, the people of those forces all looked slightly frozen and frowned. After thinking a little in their hearts, they finally sighed. Xiao Yan on the stage also frowned slightly and wanted to speak. Brush. Everyone was shocked instantly, and his face showed a look of awe. Xiao Yan looked at Mo Bei with a sneer and was silent. At the moment, Mo Bei's body is like a huge mountain. On his forehead, cold sweat keeps coming out, his pupils shrink like the size of a needle, his teeth clench, and a trace of cold air is constantly pumping between his teeth. Mo Bei swallowed a mouthful of saliva with difficulty, his face flushed, the green veins on his forehead bulged and kept wriggling. After a long time, he said hoarsely, Elder, younger. I know my mistake, younger. I'm willing to give all the spiritual coins. I hope you can spare me this time. Xiao Yan heard that his eyelids trembled slightly, but he didn't open them. His eyes turned and said coldly, For your sake, go away. Bang! A sound of physical collision sounded in the ears of the people. Mo Bei's slightly emaciated figure shot backward, hit the beam column in the auction house heavily, and spit out a mouthful of blood. Mo Bei's face turned pale for a moment, but he still forced his body up, half knelt on the ground, trembled all over and said respectfully, Thank you very much, Elder. I will abide by the rules if I don't kill you. With the support of his subordinates, Mo Bei returned to his seat with difficulty. His face was pale, but he still looked at the set of skills with hot eyes. Those other forces around Mo Bei looked at all this with a look of schadenfreude. Then, the auction naturally continued. Xiao Yan looked sarcastically at Mo Bei, then looked at the people in the auction house, especially the influential children in the front row of the auction house, and asked, Now that I've just talked about it, I don't know. Some people want to continue bidding. If not, this set of ground-level advanced fighting skills belongs to Child Mo Peking University. Everyone smelled the speech and looked at Mo Bei sarcastically. Then they didn't speak. They sat in their own position and quietly watched the farce in the field. Xiao Yan glanced at the people in the auction house again, his eyes stopped on Mo Bei and said with a smile, Well, this set of fighting skills is yours. Remember what you said, Master, it's not easy to fool. As soon as this remark came out, Mo Bei's pale face suddenly burst into a flush. Just listen to a puff, a mouthful of anti-blood gushed out of his mouth, and the whole person suddenly became shaky. Mo Bei looked at Xiao Yan angrily, and his throat made a low gurgling sound like a beast roar, but finally he only sat in his position, his eyes scarlet and panting. In humiliation and unwilling anger, Mo Bei handed over all the spiritual coins in his naji. Xiao Yan directly ignored his bitter eyes, looked at a lot of spiritual coins in front of him, and smiled at the corners of his mouth. After a long time, in the hot eyes of the whole audience, he reported a number. 28,000 spirit coins. Hey! It's really rich and generous. It's really my auction house. It's the first time in many years. The audience was also amazed. It was really the style of rich people, but unfortunately, it was only cheap to others in the end. In the exclamation, there is also a little irony, that the auction will continue. Xiao Yan's huge palm waved again, and another auction item appeared on the auction platform. There was another passionate atmosphere in the auction house. The only difference is that since Mo Bei, the price of each auction has not been lower than 10,000, because no one dares to be lower than 10,000. Whenever the final price is less than 10,000, a cold hum will sound in the auction house for no reason, which makes everyone in the whole auction house like a thorn in the back. Although they are reluctant to give up the money, what can be more expensive than life? Money should also be spent by life. In the high-level box in the field, Liu Huabai and other people of the Liu family looked at each other, looked at the auction in the field, swallowed a mouthful of saliva from time to time, and their faces were full of envy. Even later, they felt numb. The strong man is really the one who is not short of money. A herbalist or something. He has no strength and ability. That's all. Time flowed, the time of the day was spent in a hot auction. At the moment, the weather was approaching the evening, and finally, the last auction was successfully auctioned by a squat merchant at a high price of 40,000 ling coin. At this moment, Xiao Yan finally took a long breath, glanced across the audience, nodded slightly, and said in a loud voice. Today's auction is extremely fierce, and it is also the largest auction of Tianyun Auction House in southwest China for many years. Of course. Thank you for giving me such a good opportunity. I, Xiao Yan, on behalf of Qingyang Tianyun Auction House, thank you. With that, Xiao Yan bowed deeply to the high-level box where Xiao Yan was located, then stood up and continued. Finally, I announce that the auction of Tianyun Auction House is over. Boom! There was a fierce applause under the stage. Then, all the people in the venue dispersed and people walked empty. Xiao Yan also returns to Liu's house with a smile. He returns to his bedroom. Xiao Yan quickly counts today's harvest. As soon as the power of the soul was explored, Xiao Yan put on a smile at the corners of his mouth, and unexpectedly harvested 280,000 spirit coins, which made Xiao Yan very excited, but he calmed down, cleaned up a little, and then lay down in bed and fell asleep. Liu Fu, in the hall of deliberation. Liu Huabai is sitting on the main seat, the elder Liu Xincheng is sitting next to him, and the family elders are sitting below. At the moment, the atmosphere in the hall is very strange. Almost everyone except the elder Liu Xincheng is looking at the master Liu Huabai with an embarrassed face. Liu Huabai looked angrily at the elders below and looked at the big elders on one side. They all saw the dissatisfaction in each other's eyes. A moment later, Liu Huabai stared at the elders below and angrily scolded. Why don't you talk? Now you think Elder Xiao Yan is good for my Liu family. You want me to go there and talk close? What do you think of me as the patriarch? What do you think of Elder Xiao Yan again? You are so brave. At the hearing of the speech, the elders of the Liu family all changed their faces slightly and frowned slightly, but one of them stood up, stared at Liu Huabai and said, Master, it's wrong of you to speak like that. You're the master of my Liu family. How can you speak like that, elder? The elder sneered and then said with sarcasm. You're not. Are you frightened by his terrible strength, or are you attracted by his pill? Hey! He's just a person who is greedy for life and afraid of death and is bound by Qian Lei. Don't you give him too much face by letting the Liu family spare no effort to win him over? When the owner sees him later, just say something about his ancestors, won't he? The elder of the Liu family wanted to go on, but he suddenly saw that after hearing this, the master Liu Huabai and the elder Liu Xincheng changed their gloomy faces. Liu Hua's white face was gloomy and looked almost crazy. He opened his mouth and burst out. Shut up! You want to die? The soles of their feet stepped on the ground together, and their bodies rushed towards him. The fighting spirit surged out of their bodies, and one punch went towards the Liu elder. The elder of the Liu family also changed his face and wanted to withdraw. But he was the opponent of the 8-star sect. His retreat had already been blocked. At the moment, he had no choice but to forcibly block the attack of the two people on himself. Bang! A sound of physical collision sounded in the hall. Until this time, other people in the hall reacted. Turning around, they saw the Liu elder who spoke earlier. At this moment, he shot out like a meatball and shell, smashed the door made of good nanmu in the hall, and finally hit the wall outside the hall, make a big hole. Seeing this, the other Liu elders all changed their faces and became dignified in an instant. They all stood up from their positions, took a step back, stood together, and surrounded Liu Huabai and Liu Xincheng in the hall. One of them shouted angrily. Liu Huabai, Liu Xincheng, you two trying to betray my Liu family? Liu Huabai heard the speech with a cold hum and turned to look at the elders who surrounded them. The elder Liu Xincheng frowned slightly, sighed slightly, looked at the elders and said helplessly. You'd better see clearly. Liu Kai asked for it. If I hadn't hit him seriously with my master, I'm afraid he would have been gone and turned into nothingness at the moment. Hearing the speech, all the elders changed their faces. After hesitating for a moment, one of the elders couldn't help asking Liu Xincheng. Elder, I don't know what you mean by this. Didn't the master say when Xiao Yan entered the Jinming Park that he would become the most loyal member of our Liu family when he came out? But what do you mean by this now? Is he still able to kill the people of our Liu family? As soon as they said this, their faces changed again. In this way, they were dissatisfied with Xiao Yan and had secretly disrespected him. Now, they will die. Several elders became worried when they heard the speech. Some cowardly elders even trembled and panicked. Seeing this, the elder just wanted to open his mouth to answer the elder who just asked him a question, but Liu Huabai beside him gave a heavy cold hum and scolded. Get out! The elder must have known what's going on here, but since the elder didn't do it, he gave you a chance. If you don't want to die, roll to the front yard of Elder Xiao Yang and kneel until Elder Xiao Yang comes out to forgive you. Otherwise, even if your ancestors are alive, they can't save you. The elders' faces changed again when they heard what they said. They have always been in high positions. Now they go to kneel down to others and beg for mercy, which is unacceptable. Since you don't want to go, you'll die. Liu Huabai stared at the elders, shook his sleeves and left the hall. The elder also sighed, shook his head, didn't speak, and went out with him. The people looked at the two people who disappeared in sight and looked at each other. Finally, an old man who looked a little short and fat first ran out with a sad face. Soon after that, the elders in the hall disappeared completely. Master, do you think something will happen to them? They walked along the path in the house. The old man looked a little worried and asked Liu Huabai in a low tone. Liu Huabai shook his head, sighed, stood with his hands down and looked up at the sky. The elder also stopped and looked at Liu Huabai. Liu Huabai stood quietly for a moment before he said, "It all depends on God's will. They are really too self-righteous. What can a strong world and a family do? Look at themselves. I just hope that the elders can let them go, but if they are really stubborn, let them go." At this point, Liu Huabai's raised head also fell down. Looking at his eyes, he was a little red. The elder also sighed and stopped talking. They walked away along the path together. Before Xiao Yang's bedroom in Liu's house, there were many Taoist figures kneeling in the originally empty courtyard. Some children of the Liu family who accidentally learned about it also came to explore. Seeing the elders who are usually high in their own house, they kneel in front of Xiao Yan's door and look like they have done something wrong, which makes these new children frown. They frowned and the elders kneeling in the courtyard frowned. They did something wrong and just knelt here. But they knelt here and were surrounded by a group of family elders, which made it difficult for the elders to see the extreme. They wanted to find a ground crack to get in. Finally, the elders did not know how long they had been waiting, and a roar sounded from outside the gate behind them. These new children who came to see the excitement were finally scattered. Get out of here! Hum. A group of little bunnies, do you want you to come and see what the elder does? Everyone will go to practice. You will not be allowed to go out for 10 days. Who tilde? As soon as the crowd dispersed, the elders finally breathed a long breath, but they looked down at the thought of the danger they were going to face. There was a figure kneeling in the courtyard, but the room was empty, only on the bed. At the moment, there were young men in white. Xiao Yan's eyes were closed. When he breathed in and out, wisps of white energy airflow came out from his nose. The curtain hanging by the bed was agitated. Xiao Yan's internal chi kept running. He was in the path of burning dew, and finally returned to the space within the cyclone. With the operation of Xiao Yan's internal skill, the energy of heaven and earth converges into thin lines of energy between heaven and earth. From Xiao Yan's Tianling acupoints and pores, it enters Xiao Yan's body and disappears. In Xiao Yan's body, the mottled energy of heaven and earth circulates in the muscles and veins under Xiao Yan's guidance. Under the continuous refining of different fire, it is transformed into strands of pure energy, which is included in the cyclone space by Xiao Yan. Time flies away. In the twinkling of an eye, an hour has passed, and the abnormal state around Xiao Yan has finally calmed down. Who? With a long breath, Xiao Yan's closed eyes also opened slowly. A smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. As soon as his palm turned over, a scroll of primitive simplicity appeared in Xiao Yan's hand and stretched out his hand to open it. As soon as the scroll was opened, 5 bright silver ancient and simple characters came into sight. 9-turn avatar formula. This video will end here.